Zoning Commission. Can I get a roll call, please?
Aaron's?
Here.
Snyder?
Here.
Fessler?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Wenman?
Here.
Wynn?
Here.
And Wilson?
Here.
Okay, I'll consider approval of the March 7, 2018 agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's.
Second.
Second by Snyder. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll consider a motion to approve the December 6, 2017 minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Fessler.
Second.
Second by Wynn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to recognize we have a new member, Molly Wilson. Welcome to the commission, Molly.
Thank you.
And I am the chair this year, so we need to elect a co-chair for the remainder of this year. I'd like to nominate Karen Fessler.
Second.
Second by Snyder. Anybody, any other nominations or anybody wish to volunteer? Okay, let's have a vote on Karen Fessler as co-chair. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 6 is a public hearing request by Watts Development Inc. for the approval of a land use amendment from parks and medium density to high density residential for Golfview Terrace. Okay, it looks like we have a large crowd, and I'm guessing you're here to speak on this. So what we'd ask you to do is, with a large group, if you could just nominate a spokesperson to speak on behalf of the group, and then subsequent folks could speak up if there's something new and different. We don't need to hear the same things repeatedly from a bunch of different speakers. So we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. If you'd like to speak to the commission, step to the podium. Please state your name and address and sign in for us.
Is Watts going to speak about this?
Good evening, Dwayne Musser with the Watts Group, representing the applicant. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the chair or the P&Z may have. I believe Mr. Kessler will do the presentation on the item, so if there's any follow-up questions after the neighbors have had a chance to speak, I'd be more than happy to come up again.
Great. Thank you, Dwayne.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, if you wish to address the commission, now would be the time.
Hello. My name is Jim Collins. Our family has lived at 1701 Country Club Drive for the past 30 years. We join our neighbors in opposition to this land use amendment. You all know that when people buy property, they trust that the existing zoning code, the city land use plan, and you, the Planning and Zoning Commission, will protect them against wholesale changes to their neighborhoods. The proposal under consideration would bring radical transformation to our neighborhood and major disruption to our lives and properties. For these reasons, we encourage you to reject this land use amendment. Thank you for considering our opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Anyone else wish to speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I understand all the issues that are at hand. I've read through the Coralville Community Plan, the Architectural and Development Standards, and the reality is that you've got an extremely large development. You're going from parkland to high density. That's a huge jump. You're going from medium density, similar to what's there now, exactly what's there now, to high density. And you've got an ownership that, with the exception of one owner, is opposed to this, literally across the street from this development. And you've got a developer that's coming in that is not going to be a resident. I mean, I'm assuming they're not going to buy units and live there. These are extremely small units. 74 of them, according to what I saw at the other meetings that we had, are less than 800 square feet. And that comes out to somewhere around $250 a square foot, which is pretty high. That's pretty expensive. And there's really essentially, other than the City of Coralville Golf Course, there's no amenities. Now, I understand that the City of Coralville always wants to increase their tax base, and they've done an exceptionally good job at that in the controlled growth and development that they've done. Certainly better than our neighbor to the east. I won't mention who that might be. But at some point, you've got to say, okay, how does this whole thing, because you don't want to sell the parks and just build apartments to increase your tax base. You don't want to sell the golf course and build apartments just to increase your tax base. And that's what this is boiling down to. It is a significant departure from the existing character of what Coralville has done with the golf course and the housing that is there now. And to the point where I have a degree in engineering, I've worked with developers and architects before. If I was going about this, I would have hired the architect, as you have talked about when we're talking about the hotel that they want to place there. Go to Newman Munson, have them come up with something, make an investment into this thing so that it reflects the character and the quality that's in the neighborhood. The architects that have been used actually for both these projects are about as inexpensive as you can get.
Can you mention your name? Did you sign in?
Yeah.
And your name?
Yeah.
Does anyone else wish to address the commission on this?
Hi, I'm Kim Swanson, and my husband and I moved to Country Club Drive about 10 years ago, thinking we were really wanting to get out of the city and kind of into a more of a country atmosphere. And we never dreamed that there could be 250 people living across the street from us with over 100 cars. And really, it's such a beautiful, lovely neighborhood. And just to be personal, it's very crushing to us to see this approaching on us. And we just think it's just not worth the... We don't understand who's going to actually buy a one-bedroom, small condominium or apartment. And when we had the initial meeting at Watts, I asked, I said, if you don't sell these condominiums, what's going to happen? And the young man there that night said, well, we'll just need to rent them out. And, you know, really that's just crushing to us. It's just such a lovely part of Coralville. We just hate to see it go down the drain. And we've always expected, like other condos, kind of similar to ours, to be built over there, and we would welcome that. We would welcome 30 new neighbors, but not 250. But anyway, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Swanson. Okay.
My name's Katie Kendrick, and we actually live behind Wickham, but I'm also representing my parents who have a place at 1524 First Avenue. And our biggest concern right now with that space is it's one of the few open areas still left in that neighborhood. And there's currently no, as a parent of a young child, there are no parks, there are no playgrounds for our kids. The closest playground for us is Wickham. And when the kids are in school, it's not an option. So we have to drive across town. It'd be great if the city of Coralville thought about that and the infrastructure of the neighborhood, and also thought about the fact that First Avenue is a nightmare as it is with traffic. To add another 100 units to that area is going to be a disaster. So it's also thinking about the infrastructure of the roads, the park area, all that space. So that's our biggest issue.
Thank you. Let me just explain. Tonight, all we're looking at is a land use. We have not seen a site plan, so we on the commission don't have any idea what kind of building may be going in there. So you folks have got more insight into that than we have. All we're looking at tonight is whether that's an appropriate change of land use from medium density to high density. So
I understand what you're saying, but then how come all these plans have been submitted for weeks? In other words, if it's just a change in zoning, why have the plans submitted and everything like that?
the natural progression is the change of the land use, and then potentially a rezoning if necessary, and then would come the site plans. So that's the order. And so tonight, the initial step for us is the developer submits a request for a land use amendment, and that's what we're doing tonight. So any other?
Regardless of what they're going to place on the property potentially?
Well, it has to have the appropriate land use, and that's what we're looking at tonight. It would have to be changed to high density, and that's what we're evaluating tonight. So. Does anyone else wish to address the commission on any other concerns that haven't already been addressed?
My name is Terry, and I've lived on the property there that's in question. I work for Mr. Poots. I've lived there for 5 years and taking a bit of a risk here, but I would just like to speak to the fact of the nature of the place. Like some people have attested to here, it's a unique spot. I feel like perhaps, you know, First Nation people were up there camping, you know, years ago because the river's right down there. It's definitely part of a wildlife corridor. I mean, it's kind of rustic, the buildings there and whatnot, but the trees are pretty nice, and all that getting bulldozed out would totally change the ambiance there. To me, it's made sense that it could be an extension of the golf course, some kind of a park, nature center, art center, what have you. It's just a unique spot, and like the credit card commercial goes, it's kind of priceless, you know, because there's just not places like that left around here. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the commission before we move on to discussion?
My name's Chuck Swanson, and I'm married to Kim. As she said, we've been there for about 10 years, and I guess I encourage all of you to think about your own neighborhoods and what a big change that would be to your neighborhood when making this decision, because this is a neighborhood that is very special, and it's a neighborhood that is very unique to Coralville. So again, think about your own neighborhoods when making your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before we close the public hearing? Now would be the time if there's any other concerns that you want us to be aware of. And we also received a number of letters which we've all had a chance to review, and we'll take those into consideration as well. Okay, if there's no other comments, we'll close the public hearing. Okay, we'll consider, Jim, is there anything, did I explain that right on what the natural progression of steps would be?
Yeah, the natural progression of steps is first we have to consider the land use. When we see a development, first we have to consider the land use. If the development doesn't match the land use and they wish to try to change the land use, then the first item is changing the land use. Then it needs to probably be a rezoning. That would be the next step. And then we would start to look at the site development itself. I mean, they submit the whole package to us at once. So when we're looking at something and reviewing something, we do know what's going to go there. We have seen what's going to go there. Otherwise, we wouldn't ever be able to make a decision staff-wise whether, you know, we would support, not support, or even review it as a change in density. And it's not a matter of support from the staff. Our job is to take the submittal, look at it, see if it conforms, to see if there is a precedent for changing the land use. And I will explain to you, when we do our community plans, we take the whole community and we assign a land use to them. And we work with consultants, and it's a months-long process to do that. So when we're done with it, we wind up with our land use plan. But as all plans is, there is always the opportunity for a developer or a citizen or anybody else to come in and ask that that be changed. Everybody has the right to come and ask for a land use amendment, a zoning amendment, or submit a site plan. Every citizen has that right. The community plan is just that. It's a plan. It's a working plan. But it doesn't mean it can't be changed. and sections of it can't be changed. And everybody has the right to ask that. That's why we're here tonight. They have the right to ask the density on this land to be changed in order to make their development work. So it's up to the staff to look at it, make sure it all conforms, make sure what they're asking is right and follows all of our ordinances and everything. And if they're asking is legitimate, then we take it forward to the P&Z and on to council. I assume you all know that the P&Z is just a recommendation board. They don't actually approve or disapprove anything. They just are here to make recommendations to the council. So the final answer is always at the council level.
Would it be passed on to the council if they rejected it here tonight?
Doesn't make any difference whether they reject it or whether they recommend it for approval. It still goes to council.
But
So-
they will know what our recommendation is.
But they'll know what their recommendation is. But regardless of whether it's approved or disapproved, it has to go on to council. Because they are not a policy-making board. The council is the only policy-making board.
Okay, we close.
So to put it in perspective, what they're looking at is to change change the land use, which now is by our land use plan medium density, which is up to 16 units per acre, 16 dwelling units per acre. So the request is to change it to high density, which would give them the capability of going 16 dwelling units per acre and above.
And park use, half of it is park use, which is essentially being gifted to the developer at no cost on the assumption that that will be regained by tax revenues.
You want to step to the mic if you have something to say, please?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, step to the mic if you have something to say.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but half of it is currently park, and the other half is medium density. So half of it is going to be gone from medium to high, and the other is going from park, which is currently owned by Coralville, and is being gifted to the developer. So it's essentially two separate things. And it's a big deal, the fact that half the land is being given by the city of Coralville.
I can't speak to the transfer of the land. That's out of my, that's.
But that
That's up
is
to them.
public information, because I got that from the city attorney.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, let's consider approval of the land use amendment.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's,
Second.
second by Taylor. Hey, Jim, is there anything you'd like to?
I don't have anything else to add, no.
Okay, could you, the proposed use, I think, said 108 potential units?
Yes.
Now, under high density. The current density of medium density, how many units could be in there with this current zoning?
And the top would be about 58.
Okay.
It's about 3.5 acres, a little more than 3.5 acres. So take that times 16.
16 per acre.
Yeah.
And sometime back, we looked at a potential hotel in this area. Did we do a land use amendment, or was that a rezoning, or what were we looking at then?
The hotel was further down. First
Right,
Avenue
but
than
just same general neighborhood. Was that a
We
land
haven't
use
done
amendment?
anything on that yet.
Oh, we haven't, Planet hasn't seen that, I'm sorry. Okay. Any other discussion, questions for Jim?
Are there any plans to address the traffic flow coming in and out?
The developer's actually done a traffic study. He's done it with the hotel and without the hotel, if this hotel should ever materialize. He sent that traffic study to us. We've sent it on to MPOJC, because
Okay.
they have the traffic count experts. And we will get that report back. But they have done a traffic report. Traffic report is quite a time-consuming and quite a laborious activity to do a traffic report, so it's taking time to do it, and then our engineers look at it and then send it on. So there has been a traffic report done.
Any other discussion before we move to a vote? Questions?
Is the original plan to access these lots off of Country Club Drive? Is that the plan?
Both legs of Country Club Drive. There's an existing access to the existing house
South.
there now.
Yep.
And then there would be another access onto the other leg, or the north leg of Country Club Drive.
Okay.
Okay, can we do a roll call vote, please, Dee?
Snyder?
Nay.
Wen?
Nay.
Taylor?
Yay.
Fessler?
Nay.
Aaron's,
Nay.
Wilson,
Nay.
and Winman.
And I'll vote nay, so. Motion fails, all nays. Okay, you folks are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you like. If you choose to leave, we'd ask that you do so quietly and be respectful, because we're going to continue the meeting. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 7 is a public hearing request by Carefree LTD for the approval of an amended CPD site plan for Lot 3 Gatens, second edition. Does anyone wish to speak to the commission on this item?
Good evening, Dwayne Musser with Watts Group. Before you is a proposed mixed-use building where the current car wash sits between the Deli Mart and Burger King on the west side of First Avenue. We've worked extensively with staff on this site as far as building placement and orientation with First Avenue and the existing access points. I'd be happy to answer any questions. We're very excited about the project and ready to move forward with construction starting here shortly. So as soon as we get your approval and council approval, again, be happy to answer any questions.
Is this safely out of the floodplain?
Yes, we've looked at that, working with our consultant, and already investigated that as far as elevations and flood insurance. There is a lower level parking garage that would come off the shared access with Burger King on the south side of the building there where Jim has it, and we've looked at the site as far as getting that above. Obviously, there's no livable dwellings in that space or commercial space. It'd be all mechanical and cars, but we have investigated that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wayne, is this set back a little more than the building,
It is set back quite a bit more than
the one that's further down on First Avenue?
Yeah, it's set back quite a bit more than the Deli Mart. They have the canopy and the pumps up in front, and obviously Burger King is set back. We had some different versions where we had a double row parking in front and a single row parking in front, but working with city staff, everybody agreed that they wanted the building and the commercial space to be right up on the sidewalk and all the cars around back. So this is a version we came up with. It's a little challenging. We will end up with some ramps and some stairs and some walls out front just because we have such a grade difference between Deli Mart and Burger King, but I think we've come up with a solution that everybody's happy with. So.
Oh, you're talking down by the old bowling alley?
Pardon me?
You're talking down by the old bowling alley?
Yeah.
Where they got, yeah.
Yeah, and exactly, this will be the same distance off First Avenue as where the Riverview Plaza is being built down by the old bowling alley. Yes.
Probably a little further back for the ramps and stuff. But
Correct, yeah, yep. We've got some utilities there too. Thank you.
Dwayne. Anyone else wish to speak to the commission on this? Okay, we will close the public hearing, and we'll consider approval of the amended CPDB site plan.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's.
Second.
Second by Taylor. Jim, is there anything you can show us?
I can't show you much more than Dwayne has talked about. Yes, we did work with him and they've cooperated with us very well in order to get this building moved up as close as we could to First Avenue, so that it basically matches the Riverview Plaza further down the road. Although because of the utility easements we've got out front and the change in elevation here and the need for the handicap ramps to come off the sidewalk and get up to this building, this building actually did wind up about 40 foot off the right-of-way, which is actually the setback that's required in this under traditional zoning. So it's not any closer to the road than it normally would be if it wasn't a PUD, but we don't have the parking in front. So we have some extra landscaping in front. I think I have elevations of the building on here I can show you. I hope I do anyhow. Okay, so this is the look of the building. So if you're looking at the east elevation, this is the elevation that's going to face First Avenue. So you can see the ramps that they have here to get up and down to the surface of the building off of the sidewalk. So it is close to the building, or it is close to the road as we can possibly get it, and get the access that we need, and the landscaping that we want, and maintain the landscaping along First Avenue that we already have established. So, this is the west elevation, of the elevation that will face, well, opposite of the east elevation of Biscuit Creek in that area. And then, of course, we have the north elevation of what you'd see if you were driving south on, I'm sorry, it's a south elevation. I read the bottom one. This is the south elevation if you were driving north on First Avenue, and you could see the entrance to the underground garage right here. There's a man door there. And this is only accessed from the joint access with Burger King. And then the north elevation, this is accessed with the Deli Mart access. But this access point here has an in, and then an access in. It has an access out to the left and access out to the right. So it's a 4-story building. First floor is all commercial. There's 3 stories of apartments above that with 11 units per floor. So there'd be 33 dwelling units in this building.
Any further discussion or questions for Jim? Okay, we'll move to the vote. All in favor of the amended CPD site plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, all ayes. Okay, item 8 is a public hearing request by Venture One for the approval of the rezoning from R3 and C PUD to an RPUD 1, a preliminary plat, and a PUD A site plan at Ridgeview. Does anyone wish to speak to the commission on this topic?
My name is Mike Bales, and I'm with Venture One LLC, and be happy to answer any questions you have as a commission about the proposed site plan. We're very excited about it. If and when this gets approved, the plan will be to eventually connect Jones Boulevard up, and that will open up the whole west land use for the rest of Coralville.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else wish to speak to the commission? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. We'll consider approval of the rezoning.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's.
Second.
Second by Snyder. Discussion? Hey, Jim, is anything we should look at here?
I don't have anything different that isn't in your packet I gave you. It's 103 acres of land. It's in our West Land Use area, so it's subject to all of our West Land Use requirements in our newly adopted West Land Use Plan, which talks about styles of buildings, talks about material buildings, it talks about parking and landscaping, and pretty much the whole works. So this is designed in within our West Land Use area. So what you're seeing here is allowed by the West Land Use Plan. It consists of, this development consists of 4 24-unit dwelling units. And so you guys in the audience can correct me if I'm pointing out the wrong units, but to me, these are the 24-unit dwelling units. It has some 36-unit dwelling units. Well, these are the 36-unit dwelling units, so there's 36 dwelling units. These are 18 dwelling unit buildings. There's 4 of those. These 3 buildings here are slated to be 88-unit dwelling units. The rest of this is a combination of townhomes. There's a couple of duplexes maybe scattered in here. Townhome development in this part, and this is 60 single-family dwelling lots up here. So if I counted right, it's a total of about 954 dwelling units on 103 acres.
Okay.
So what they're looking for is to change some of this land that right now is R3 and C to make it all a residential planned unit development. This is all going to be stormwater quality units along here. We're still working out the design with the consultants on this, but what we've seen so far, it's pretty nice looking design. We're trying to get these ponds to actually go from one pond to the other with some waterfall type aesthetics.
So those would be similar to the one that's already down there then?
Ewald?
No, there's another, next to the townhomes at the south end, there's a little pond down there.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're right.
So is this going to come back to us in pieces like that when they?
It's going to come
do
back
them?
to us as individual phases under
When they're doing
PUDB
it,
site
So
plans.
it's not like this isn't set in stone because it might change as they go along.
It's pretty much set
I
in
know,
stone,
yeah.
but yeah, it can be tweaked and,
Yeah.
and changed as they go along, yeah, you
The
bet.
different parts. So I have a question. Are those, and I don't know what the name of the street is, and I pulled this out, but it's okay. Is that one that's kind of a circle in there?
Here?
On this end, yeah, down there? Or
Here?
is that one of those narrow roads?
This is a private
with-
drive.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
no sidewalks
The
and...
interiors here are private drives.
So the way to access it is a narrow road, and there's only one way in and out.
On this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a loop street, comes in, comes out. This is actually the extension of Jones Boulevard coming down through here. This street here we'll be looking at in the next development is actually Spring Rose Court that's already started over in the Coral
And I know
Crossings
you guys have
development.
looked at them, but how do you get a fire truck in and out of those little narrow roads?
We have turning templates on all those. Those roads are, they're built to 26-foot standards, which is what Ori wants.
Yeah.
I believe they're all 26-foot
look
standards.
small. Just
Because that's what he needs. And a 26-foot street gets his biggest ladder truck in there and gives him room for his outriggers. So we've looked, yeah,
Okay.
they furnished us turning templates.
I figured they had, but...
Yeah, the orange ones are private streets. This is just a combination of Spring Rose Court, which will hit a roundabout here at its intersection with Jones, and going on over to another roundabout, which this is a north-south street that will be put in called Lucas Avenue. So this will continue on to the north.
On the private roads, do they have to do their own snow removal and things
Mhm.
like that?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
And then from a timing standpoint, would Joe's be completed before these units were occupied?
I'm sorry?
Just from a timing standpoint, looking for the Jones Boulevard extension.
Jones Boulevard has to be extended before we can put too many more units in this area, yes.
Okay, yeah. I was
So that
hoping-
before this would be,
We're pretty much built out on a single access at this point.
that was my concern. Okay, any further discussion on the rezoning?
So there will be no more any commercial buildings in this
No,
ground?
no, it's all be changed to residential. There'll be some commercial down in this area, down south of this area here, there's some commercial land in there. But what you're looking at on your rezoning application, that'll all be residential development. Which is what the land use calls for, because this is in concert with our land use plan.
Any further discussion on the rezoning? Okay, all in favor of the rezoning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries, all ayes. Now we'll consider approval of the preliminary plat.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's.
Second.
Second by Wynn. Anything different here, Jim?
No, if you look at the preliminary plat, it pretty much shows you what the stages can be. There may be some of those stages put together on a one stage of development, but it does divide it up into stages.
Or any further discussion on the preliminary plat? All in favor of approval of the preliminary plat, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we'll consider approval of the PUDA site plan.
So moved.
Moved by Taylor,
Second.
second by Aaron's. Any discussion on the site plan? Anything further we need to look at here, Jim? On the site
Nope.
plan? Okay, we'll move to vote. All in favor of the approval of the site plan?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, all ayes. Okay, item 9 is the public hearing on a request by Jajeska LC for the approval of an amended rezoning from I-2 to an R3 to an RPD1, an amended preliminary plat, and an amended RPD site plan of Coral Crossing 6th and 7th editions. Does anyone wish to speak to the commission on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And we'll consider approval of the amended rezoning.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's,
Second.
second by Snyder. Jim, is there anything we need to look at here?
No, this is just an amendment to the Coral Crossings development that's already been started. We already have some 36 units built in here. There's some townhomes built in this area here that are already built. It's going to have more 36 units in it and the townhomes in it. They're amending this one to basically make Coral Crossings and Ridgeview kind of blend together at this point right here. This is Coral Crossings. So where Spring Rose Court, before we had Ridgeview, Spring Rose Court used to come back and turn around and go back up to Jones Boulevard, so there was two accesses in and out of this. Spring Rose Court now continues on to the west, as I showed you, to the two roundabouts and on over to Lucas. So there is a Spring Rose Lane Drive, one of them, that comes off of Spring Rose and still gets Spring Rose, or gets his street back up to Jones Boulevard. So these people still have two accesses on Jones Boulevard. And then there's been some fourplexes put in here and rearranged a little bit, and because we're looking at Bridgeview right here. So it's just a real easy transition from one development into the other development.
Okay.
What part of it was I-2?
There's a little piece of it down here that was part of Heartland Plaza that was I-2. If you look at the zoning, what was that first, maybe? Oh. Right down here.
Oh, that little corner was the
Yep,
I-2.
that little
Oh,
corner.
okay.
Down here's where that,
Okay.
yeah, down below, over the hill from Rock.
Gotcha.
And this little piece of I-3 here has been rezoned as well, or R3, R3D.
At least I didn't understand that. That's explain that.
Any further discussion on the amended rezoning? All in favor of approval of the amended rezoning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries all ayes. Now we'll consider approval of the amended preliminary plat.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's.
Second.
Second by Wynn. Anything different on here, Jim?
Nope.
No.
Okay, well, any further discussion on the preliminary plat? Now we'll, all in favor of approval of preliminary plat, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries all ayes. Okay, now we'll consider approval of the amended RPDA site plan.
So moved.
Moved by Fessler,
Second.
second by Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the site plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries all ayes. Okay, item 10 is a request by the City of Coralville for the approval of the preliminary and final plat of Iowa River Landing Part 9. It will consider removal of the preliminary plat.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's,
Second.
second by Wynn. And Jim?
This is, in our IRL, it's going to be the site of the arena and the hotel that's associated with the arena. So they're kind of different lot lines, but lot number 1 is the actual site of the arena itself. Lot number 2 up here is the site of the hotel that will be on the north. So this is East 2nd Avenue, extended from where it ends at 7th Street now. I'm sorry, at 9th Street now. They've already filled in part of this to the roundabout. You can see, well, you can actually see the level of the street in here. So this is East 2nd Avenue on the north side of the arena. And this is the arena lot. This is Quarry Road is down here. This is actually an access drive that will come in and get back to the loading dock area for the arena. So this is an access drive. And this probably will extend on over, all the way on over to 7th Street eventually. And this, lot number 3, is for future development or for another. It's all commercial, so it's all going to be commercial development at this point right in here, as far as I know anyhow. But we don't actually have anything slated for that at this point. So we have 3 lots here, preliminary platted, arena, hotel, and then a future development lot.
Any further discussion or questions on the preliminary plat? Okay, all in favor of the approval of the preliminary plat, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries all aye. Now we'll consider approval of the final plat.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron's,
Second.
second by Snyder. Any discussion on the final plat? Okay, all in favor of approval of final plat, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries all ayes. Okay, that's all we have for tonight. Anything for next month, Jim, since we missed a couple months?
We have 3 items for next month.
Oh.
So we will have a meeting. Thanks, guys. I'll call you later. I got a couple things to go over with you.
So we're back on schedule for next month.
We are back on schedule for next month. We'll probably be on schedule for the rest of the summer, actually. Yes.
Okay, we'll consider a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Oh.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.